Florida State. What is their record going to be in 2024? Now, Vegas has got them at over under 9.5 wins. Vegas also now has Florida State as the best odds to win the ACC in 2024. So Vegas is saying, we like Florida State, not sure about the ACC right now, new pieces. Over under 9.5 feels fair-ish. Okay, so what do we think about Florida State? We'll give you our thoughts right now. But if you're a Florida State fan, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football every single day. If you are a sicko about Florida State football, if you're a sicko about college football, welcome home. Make sure you're subscribed. It is college football and nothing but the way that you want it discussed, the way that you want it talked about. All right, so lock in here. We appreciate y'all in advance for making that happen. So over under 9.5 wins, what do we think about that? What is this year about for Florida State? It's probably a good place to start at, man. I think for Florida State and for Mike Norvell in general, like this is a boss-up kind of year. This is the year where you can, if you do what you're capable of doing, if you win the state, if you win the conference, you can kind of stand there and just flex on them real quick and say, yep, we're that team. We lost all these pieces. We lost all these dudes to the NFL, and we're still that team in this state. We're still that team in this conference. And great coaches, great programs, not programs, great programs, they stand the test of change. Because it's inevitable. In college football, the players are going to graduate. The players are going to go to the league. Players are going to hit the portal. As Florida State continues to have success, they got a lot of coaches on that staff that are going to take other jobs, probably elevations for them. Like I think Alex Atkins is going to be a head coach here in the not-too-distant future, just my feel on it. There's going to be change. But the programs and the coaches, the head coaches that are able to adapt, the results and the standards don't change. Their way of doing things is refined to the very last detail, and they're able to squeeze every single ounce of potential out of their roster, out of their staff. That is the goal for this team. That's what great coaches do. It's what Saban did for forever. It's what Kirby's doing right now. Florida State fans aren't going to love hearing this because this is a guy you've beaten the last 2 years. Brian Kelly has done this at a lot of different places. Mike Norvell is doing this right now, and this is the task at hand for them in 2024. The makeup of this team is interesting because if you go over to warchant.com, again, JD1, $1 for your first month to get all the access to all the content they're doing over there. Irish O'Fell and the team crushing it. The feel around Florida State, it's a less established roster because of who you have now plugged in at quarterback, because of the guys that maybe didn't play as much last year that will step into larger roles, because of the production you lost. But at the same exact time, it is every bit, if not more talented and more deep than last year's squad that won the ACC. So I think when you talk about Florida State and their approach in 2024, maybe it's less settled, yes, but I think it's going to be every bit as gritty. The formula for them will be we are going to punch you in the freaking mouth every single snap, every single game. That's our identity. Like they're going to have a lot of haymakers that they can throw at you. Defense is going to be leading this unit forward. No way around it. That is the calling card for them. Shaheem Brown, they love what they're seeing from him at the safety position right now during fall camp. Patrick Payton's an absolute freak show coming off the edge. Marvin Jones Jr. is another freak show, former 5-star from Georgia transferring in there. They got some dudes up front. All right, make no mistake about it. They will be physical at the point of attack. That running back room is deep. That O-line is experienced. You're brought in DJU, as good as you think he's going to be or as bad as you think he's going to be, the reality is for Florida State, you don't need him to be Superman. All right, so as bad as you think he's going to be if you're hating on Florida State this year, more power to you, but he doesn't have to light it up. Just has to be efficient and take care of the football. The big thing with Florida State, I mentioned the haymakers. The key to success for them, to getting the over on that win total, to making the college football playoff, to winning the conference will be, can you perfect your haymaker, which is the physical brand of football, running the ball downhill, attacking on defense, being the enforcer, hammering out the nail, all those cliches, but can you also have a jab to go with it? That's the key ingredient. Because DJU, at multiple times, they will ask him to convert a 3rd and long. That's college football for you. When you're down by 3, when you're up by 4, and you got to put the game away, can you convert a 3rd and long? We're going to see. So the jab is DJU's progress and the options they have for him pushing the ball downfield. Malik Benson, he's going to be wide receiver 1. Okay, no way around it. Who do they have after him? Kyle Morlock, the big tight end, they love him. I think there's some young bucks as well, like Elijah Moore, they're excited about. Who's that second passing option? And how consistent are they? Right? We're going to find out. Let's go game by game here, though, for Florida State, man. Week 0, you got Georgia Tech, Dublin, Ireland. I mean, I hope in some way, form, or fashion we get some, like, Irish icons somehow involved in this game. Like, get Bono out there. Get Conor McGregor out. Like, do something to involve the who's who of Ireland in this game. Would love that. Guest picker, they may have announced it already, but I don't know. If you haven't announced your guest picker, get Bono out there. I would love to see Bono or The Edge out there from U2 picking games. It is what it is. I digress. That's a win. I love Georgia Tech. Think they're going to be good this year. Florida State, too much. They beat them in the opener in week 0. You got Boston College, club dub. Play Memphis, another win. You get Cal, thankfully at home this year if you're Florida State. Like, going to Ireland and then going to Cal Berkeley for a game, I mean, their frequent flyer miles are through the roof if you're a Florida State fan. So at that point, you're rolling. You're undefeated. Very, very trappy game now at SMU. This is the game where if you're the offense, it's like, all right, we got to be dialed in, boys. Not only are we going on the road, but you're playing a team in Rhett Lashley's offense and Preston Stone at quarterback that has averaged 37 points a game their 2 years there as a staff. Like, they're going to force you to keep pace. I'm not saying they're going to score 37 on Florida State, but I do think it's reasonable to assume that the offense is going to have a better output than they've had leading up to that game, or at least their best output, as good an output as they've had. So that'll be a good one, but I do think you win that football game. Now, here's one that's going to be a massive game. Massive game. You got Clemson. This is the DJU Bowl. Have to believe it'll be very personal for him, whether he's going to say it out loud or not. There's got to be some way about him feeling like, hey, man, this is the school that thought I wasn't good enough to play there anymore. And, I mean, everybody makes their own decisions for themselves and tries to do what's best for their football team. I don't think you fault Dabo Swinney for going with Cade Klubnik. At the same time, I don't think you fault DJU for feeling like, all right, I have something to prove in this game. A little chip on the shoulder. It'll be in Tallahassee. It'll be rocking. This is the game where I think Florida State not just needs a great performance from DJU, that's obvious, but I think physicality-wise, we've known Clemson to kind of be that bully on the block in the ACC the last couple of years. Like, that's kind of been their calling card when Brent Venables was the DC there, the way they've operated on the offensive line. That's kind of been Clemson's calling card. And so for Florida State, in this game, you have to be the more physical outfit. Sounds pretty simplistic, sounds pretty straightforward. Football is a simple game made complex by stupid people. It is simple. Can you be the more physical team on that day? I believe Florida State can, and I believe in this game they solidify themselves as one of those top 2 teams in the conference. They, again, prove a point. They're better than Clemson at this point. It's not me down on Clemson. I think it's more so props to Mike Norvell and what he's done there. Florida State gets a massive win in the DJU Bowl over Clemson. They stay undefeated. You go to Duke. Mike Elko is no longer there. Manny Diaz now running the show. Riley Leonard is no longer in Durham, North Carolina. Florida State wins that game. A little bit trappy as well because you got Miami the next week. We'll see. But anyway, you beat Duke. You go to Miami. I think you lose this game. Now, we're sitting here in August, so obviously we'll pick this game again when it gets here. But I think that the Cam Ward effect for Miami is real. I think that he is a guy that can elevate them in this game, even though I think that the roster talent level will be pretty comparable. I'm going to lean towards Cam Ward in this game. I think that they actually end up losing that game, does Florida State. However, get back to your winning ways. You beat North Carolina, and then you go to Notre Dame. Huge playoff impact kind of game for them, for Mike Norvell, getting a signature win on the road in South Bend. When Notre Dame has done, everything they can to continue to evolve and push the envelope and get to where they expect to be in the college football landscape, that'd be massive. I think it happens in this game. I think you beat Notre Dame, and at that point, you're feeling pretty good about your college football playoff aspirations because you only have one loss. It's to what I would expect to be a pretty solid Miami team. You beat Charleston, and then you play Florida. Florida is going to be interesting to watch where they're at in this point in the season. I still think they're going to be scrappy. I think you're going to get your best game from Florida regardless of who's on the other side. Even with that being said, I think Florida State beats Florida, and they finish with a record of 11-1. they have a chance to go back to the ACC title game, I have to believe. And they also, whether they win or lose the ACC title game, they lock up a college football playoff spot. And so if you're a Seminole fan, you're like, okay, last year was last year, 12-team dance, we're in it. We hit the reset on the roster in a lot of ways based on what we lost last year. And Mike Norvell does exactly what we're telling you that they need to do in 2024. They boss up, new personnel. The common denominator is Coach Norvell. So you feel even better about the fact that he's your head coach. And you feel, I think, probably reinvigorated heading to the college football playoff and have some business to handle once you get there. So, again, Florida State at 11-1, but let me know what your record prediction is for the Noles in 2024. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.